Let's break it down. Very interesting day today. Very crazy headlines. Interesting news, right? We had, let's actually swap here. Let's change the windows for the Discord stream here. We're going to go to screen one. And then we're going to pull up some of these articles. Let's take a look at this. Oh, really? So there's big fears around this, right? We saw mRNA, Pfizer kind of getting pops on the rumors of the new coronavirus, okay? People are saying it's strikingly similar to the pandemic virus. You know, people think that this could be another outbreak. However, it's also said to be a lot deadlier, which makes me think that it won't spread as quickly. And remember, this is selling on fears of a high risk of spillover to humans, meaning that it hasn't yet. Okay? I also really wonder if this virologist actually calls herself Batwoman. If she does, that is hilarious that people were so mad about COVID being rumored to come from bats when the lead virologist is literally called Batwoman. Anyways, actually stupid. Before we break this down, do we have any... I'm kind of catching up on the comments here. Do we have any questions before we break stuff down? Anything you guys want me to focus on particularly? I'm just watching the comments. I got some stuff that I want to cover. Big winners today? I mean, what carried me today was Unity. Unity had an absolute insane day too. And I just kept rolling the profits. It's important to remember, like, when it's in the education section, and this is something I got a lot of questions on. I played Unity until it did not work. All right? So when something is printing like that, and the first roll works, and the second roll works, and the trend just keeps extending, and this thing 2 days in a row is blowing out the average true ranges, okay, it's freeing up a lot of room to move big, right? And even when we look at this 15-minute chart here, like, look at this thing hold the bullish EMA into the close on a day where SPY couldn't hold anything the entire day, right? The whole market extremely weak. Same with IWM, right? This thing couldn't even break the bullish trend on the 15-minute chart. We're not even talking about like the 65-minute chart where it's actually mega bullish still. Right? Actually a pretty great reset on the RSI. I mean, our momentum's almost hooked all the way to the downside. So, I mean, I would literally wouldn't mind at all if into next week we see this kind of creep back, still in the bullish EMA, but see this kind of get to an oversold level and just get a beautiful continuation for the swings, which is why I also bought some of this into the close. You know, this is, I think, one of those stock pickers plays where it doesn't really matter what the rest of the market does. The story here is good enough to drive it up anyways, which is awesome. You know, and what also kind of stood out to me today, and we took a shot at this and the shot didn't work, but it did recover well. Not well enough for me to reset the position. This is a play. This is a pure disgusting manipulation type of situation, where you have this beautiful setup, right? This is the setup that I talk about all the time. Were these lines drawn off the 5 minute? Yeah, they were. Right, beautiful setup off the 5 minute coming into the open, right? We talk about this hidden divergences will give you give you a peek at the hidden momentum underlying a stock, right? You get the morning sell-off creates this oversold environment when the stock is clearly in an uptrend, which gives you the potential to say, oh, this thing has more, it's created more room for this to run. However, we got overbought a little too quickly, right? You want to, in the first dip, did it get held? And what really killed this, honestly, this play probably works most of the time. No problem. When they tried to pump this back up, they stopped it. They halted it. I mean, just pure, utter, unfiltered corruption. Total manipulation. Literally market makers, administration, institutions saving each other's butts by halting the stock, letting the shorts get out without causing the stock to squeeze to the upside. Because when you're the big boys, you can do that, right? Big boys can take huge positions and not move stocks, right? You know, there is a cap to that. You know, if you're Buffett, there's really no way for you to not move a stock if you're selling, you know, your 15% of Apple position. But there's probably shorts getting out without pushing the stock. They halted it to let them get out, and then they released it. Total, utter BS. And that's something they've been doing ever since GME. Super frustrating. Killed the momentum. This thing ended up finding it into the end of the day, but it's kind of like dead in the water. So we'll play it next week. I'll go ahead and set the alert right now. If we can get over the high of day, I'm not going to go over the pre-market high, right? I'm going to go for the high of day today and kind of watch that for the beginning of next week and see if this wants to move. The other play today that probably should have been on the radar was Tesla on the break of yesterday's lows. We can see this is worth reviewing, and then I also want to review Square. I know someone took this today, I'm pretty sure. This wasn't on the watch list. I only had the upside. I was really looking for the upside. I came in today actually really bullish, watching the market kind of slowly melt up. Looked like it could be a trendy day, especially with the way that we got the defense yesterday. This selling, I mean, the headlines were just kind of a mess today, so nothing was really clear to me. Additionally, the VIX really didn't get big of a move. You can see that after we cross 18 on the VIX historically is a very big level, right? So when the VIX got over 18, you could create an argument that you want to load up into some SPY puts more aggressively. The news just still wasn't super clear to me. I still just felt like at any point this thing was going to trap the bears and reverse to the upside. Just because it looks like such algo-driven, steady drip selling. Okay, if there was a big panic moves like several, where then like let's say market does something like drops, kind of hovers for a bit, drops again, kind of retraces you in a bit, then drops again. That's a market where it's, you know, entry. You could find entries a little bit easier, right? But a market that only has one test that never really breaks major EMAs is a lot harder to get into, right? Like we didn't even come and test the upper bearish EMA, which makes it great if you took puts. Like if you bought puts, if you came in today bearish and you bought puts off the open, this type of price action is something where you literally have no reason, no indication whatsoever to sell those puts at all. So like if you came in, if you were like me, I had bullish bias today. So yeah, I probably didn't act optimally, especially since I lit a few lottos on fire. But hey, they're lottos. That's what they do sometimes. But if you were bearish and you came in with puts today, you have no indication to sell. But if you aren't bearish and you're looking for an opportunity to get in, there's almost none here, right? It sucks. It sucks, but sometimes it just sucks to suck. There's really no good indication to get here. And it kind of blew through all the pivot points. So for me, there's no clear catalyst. I'm not seeing anything on the news. I'm seeing what looks to be just like algo-driven selling. You know, this type of price action, very human, right? Very human. You know, kind of plunges really quickly. People react, you know, emotionally to a headline. And then it kind of, you then get people who are late to catch in or whatever, or the more fears start getting spread, you get another drop down. Okay, then it tries to retrace, and it tries to retrace, and you get the lower high setup, right? This looks like algos. Someone hit sell on the algos, and they just steadily sold all day long. Doesn't create a lot of like high probability entries. Yeah. Kind of how I play futures when I don't hold. Kind of how I play futures. I mean, even if you're in futures, like this is something that you could improve on, Kyle. Like if you're in futures on this, even on futures, even on the 1 minute, look at that 1 minute. Like if you're in futures, there is literally no reason to sell this. Like, so this is something that you could go back and look at and to try and really maximize your returns. Depending on what kind of account you're in, right? But even if you like took some NQs, you're in some minis, and you get the first big move, you know, pull up your TradingView QQQ chart. Look at this. You know, I know they're not going to have the EMAs probably on whatever one you're doing. So yeah, if you came in bearish this morning and you're shorting futures, there's literally, this is like your dream come true, right? 5 minis. So you were in minis. You let it run. You let it run all day then? Please tell me you let it run all day. Oh, it's on Combine. Oh, you're trying to pass an account? Okay. Okay. I understand. Good job. All right. Yeah. So it's just one of those tough things where when I look at this is another thing too, right? Like your emotions could be indicators. So, you know, the other third key piece of this, when you see a day like today and you're like, Josh, you didn't short SPY at all, or you didn't short Qs at all. When I look at a chart like that, one, I think that looks like algo selling, so it can reverse literally at any moment and blow you out, be really trappy, especially in a market that's been really trappy. Two, a day two continuation of this will be super easy to play. So if Monday is a continuation of this, okay, I already have my bias. You know, I also had this huge gap fill that can pay out for next week. So I don't really feel, I really shouldn't feel any FOMO. But three, when I look at it, I do feel FOMO. And when I feel FOMO, that's usually an indication to me that the move has very likely already happened, right? So your emotions can frequently be indicators of the opposite of what you should do. So I was feeling FOMO to the downside, so I didn't move on it. I let my emotions be the indicator there. But you really shouldn't be feeling FOMO. I probably felt my FOMO because all my lottos were to the upside. And I was like, well, damn, even if I had one bearish lotto, you know, shame on me. I came in today really bullish. And to be fair, you know, some of my bullish positions played, right? Like we got paid on Bob. We'll talk about that in a moment. I'd rather have FOMO than losses. Well, FOMO often leads to losses. I know what you're saying. Oh, I get what you're saying. You're saying you'd rather sit here and feel like you're missing out than lose on something. Right. Yeah. Right. You feel the emotion, don't act on the emotion. You gotta think in like a third person perspective. You gotta constantly be like, oh, you know, Josh is feeling this way, you know, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, right? It's a good way to disconnect from those emotions and think in a logical way in real time. In real time is so important. So, because we are constantly in a position where we have to think on the dime, in the moment, when the information comes, right? So you have to exercise that muscle in the moment. Chat got me distracted. What was I just about to talk about? There was something really important we were about to just cover. We can move on to Baba, and unless it comes back to me. There was a real key point I was about to make, and it's completely escapes me. I'm looking at the chat to see if anyone can remind me what I was about to cover. Bob on block. Yeah, we'll just go to Bob on block. There was something else I think I was going to cover. So Baba held the bullish trend all day. So we caught the first move pretty well, and then I cut it because I was getting suspicious of the market weakness. Right. I tried again after seeing that. I'm pretty sure on the 5-minute it was looking really resistant. Right. We caught on the move, then we kind of get this sell and this kind of this fake out into this bullish territory. Right. This makes me a bit nervous when I see that we started to develop a trend across the TTMs. So I'm looking at chat. Yeah, we'll talk about the wins. And then I also want to we'll cover square too. So there was a quick stop. I don't remember. Did I take a real loss there? Or was there a stop? Was it just a break even? I think I was pretty quick to get out of that. No, we took a real loss there on the second attempt. Nice win on the first attempt. Yeah. But basically what we're hunting for overall is a continuation after earnings, right? Earnings, we made the 75%, let the rest of the day play out, didn't really touch it. But into the end of the day, I'm noticing, wow, we kind of did this little fake out, but we quickly reclaimed it on the 15-minute. And and it had great relative strength against the market. Then I wake up 7:30 and boom, I see this thing's already hit 2 of my triggers to the upside. And what I'm thinking like 150 is going to be a target based off the longer time frames, right? That's where you're going to find some key levels like 150 and 160 are going to be, this like big gap fill right here is really what I'm hunting for. It actually comes to 160. Is what I really want to see if we can fill that the rest of the way. We still can. I mean, look at this weekly. It's just now firing to the upside for momentum against the weak market. The daily's getting pretty overbought, but this thing can maybe trade sideways for a little bit and reset that RSI pretty easily without any huge retracements, especially when the momentum is that strong. Lots of people remember RSI tells you, if you buy a stock every time the RSI gets that extremely overbought, you will win far more than you lose. Okay, lots of new traders that think about RSI all backwards. That's why it doesn't work for them. But RSI is great if you know how to actually use it. If you know how to hunt for divergences and you understand it as a momentum tool, you don't use it as this is too overbought, right? Unless it gets stupid overbought on a shorter time frame. Like if we're talking about it's this overbought on a 1 minute, that could be an indication that you get out and you let it reset. Doesn't mean the stock has to go down though. So you only let it reset if you're in that short-term position, if you're in that daily, if you only have a few days left to hold the expiration, right? There's a few other factors that go into it, but if you want to play it safe, you see something at an 88 RSI on a 1 minute chart, yeah, I would probably sell into that. It's something similar to what we did with Unity, right? We let Unity do a nice reset, gave it another attempt, right? So I did a reattempt on Baba. But on the breakdown, on the development here, when we started to roll over, I decided to get out with the market so weak. The reason I liked it was because it was holding the relative strength, but I didn't want to hold through a plunge like this, like we got on the earnings day here, right? I was thinking that could happen here, and I would rather just take it on the reclaim. We got the reclaim, but honestly, we weren't breaking like any key levels on the day, which made it extremely unconvincing. Just like yesterday, I didn't want to play it when you didn't really break over this level here. We pretty much got the same thing today, where we're not really breaking over any key intraday levels, so it doesn't look very appealing to me. But it is going to look appealing for next week. So, because we still got a pretty good trend here. So we're going to want to keep this on the radar because I think we've got, another 10, maybe even on the more extreme side, another 17-point day coming for this name. China's really picking off the ground. There's been some pretty good headlines out of there. The other play, the play we didn't take today, but I thought was worth a good review. Baba makes sense. Everyone following. Everything, every all good so far. I get some ones in the chat. Just a quick number there. Just some feedback. Everything Josh is saying makes sense. Okay, cool guys. Square, this is what I would call. This is the give and go. Square, if you watched the daily recap from yesterday, Square was one of the. Or I'm sorry, it's not called Square anymore. It's called Block. Block was one of the yesterday I was looking at it, especially in the after hours, and I was thinking it would be a great short. But when I did my pre-market analysis, I got a little distracted because I was a little I was a little starry-eyed at some of the lotto potentials I was seeing on the market. So this one ended up slipping my radar, but it's definitely worth reviewing because this is picture perfect setup straight out of the handbook, right? You can see my little scribbles from the recap that we did yesterday, right? This is a give and go, right? You don't get the pre-market divergence. You're getting the divergence off the first candle, right? First candle's green, and you see it quickly get overbought, creating the double top, while the stock is clearly in the bearish trend, right? Double top here, stock clearly in a bearish trend, extremely high relative volume, right? And catalyst earnings. This is actually an A plus setup for a short. I would say A. I wouldn't say earnings is actually A plus. Let's take that. It's just an A, right? So that's actually an A setup that I missed today. But if you guys see these, Josh only has 2 eyes, 1 brain. All right. Sometimes I don't even work well. So if you see this setup, it's something you could take, right? So, I miss stuff, but I want you guys to also, have the autonomy, be able to catch these things, right? Be able to see this. This is what we're doing. This is part of the education. I want you guys to have some independence and learn to see these, right? That's a great setup. So that's a give and go. It's classic give and go, straight from the playbook. High relative volume. Great reset on the RSI. Catalyst too. So you're catching the tailwinds. And then you could even maybe get a downside move. The other big thing here is the key level break too, right? That's what makes it the A. I didn't mention that, but that is huge, right? The key level break here. This was a massive resistance. I would actually call this the resistance due to the fact that there's more touches here. But to also even see it break this, these false flags here, massive. All right, massive confirmations. Then you just start hunting for these key levels to the downside. Ended up blowing through all of them. Right, so now we actually caught. Let's see this on a 4-hour actually. There is a key level here that it kind of based around. Let's go to our regular hours here. See if that breaks. It's gonna bring some more clarity. Yeah, look at that. See. If it's hard to spot key levels, always go to the regular trading hours to analyze them. It's going to provide so much clarity. That's going to be another one. There's lots of consolidation here and some pretty big moves. And then there's a bunch of noise in between these, but this is going to be the bottom right there. So yeah. So this looks like a lot of noise. So if I'm looking for a day 2 continuation, I probably don't take that unless we break this level here. Yeah. Because this could fake out right here. Just looking at the way that it reacts off these 2 levels kind of end this. This is kind of a vicious chop zone. That can be pretty fakey. So let's say what you look for is you look for in the pre-market. Let's say there is a great RSI divergence, a hidden divergence, or there's persistent R vol, maybe there's another catalyst. Then I would say, oh, okay, I'll trade in this because it looks like we've got some drivers to send us through the chop zone. But otherwise, if RSI seems to be trending very well with the stock, there's no other news, market's kind of choppy, then I probably won't take the position until we actually break the 64. Again, when we get the break, I want the second candle for the follow through, right? But I definitely wanted to review this one, even though we didn't play it because I missed it. This is a great trade to take off the open. Similar. This is actually very similar to CDNS, which you also called out, Chaz, too. That one also had a great setup, but it wasn't in the pre-market, but it revealed itself very early on in the day. Very, 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 very good to look at those. The other things that were winners, obviously our Carvana puts are starting to come back a little bit. We're getting a continued sell-off here. I'm really looking... I really haven't been too apt to play this in the short term, but there probably was some opportunity this morning to take that off the rip of the open as soon as it kind of gives up this level. Or you shouldn't say give up. As soon as it gets a denial of this key level, right, tries to come up here and then can't clear it. You could make an argument that breaking under yesterday's lows is also another entry, especially when the relative volume is still kind of persistently high, right? This is a great day 2 continuation. The only thing is that I have a relatively large swing position here. And my track record, the other thing here is really important. My track record with trading Carvana and short-term trades is really poor. Really poor. It's like a 30% win rate on this individual name. So I really don't like touching it because of that. The personality of this stock is just a-hole. And so I really, there is some opportunities here. There probably will be pretty much throughout the year on the way to the downside, some opportunities on this name, but I just don't have a great track record trading this name that kind of have, some stocks develop their own personality. At this one, I think it's just an a-hole. Carvana weekly chart looks like the one clip. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. You talking about the GIF, the meme? I mean, this looks like a massive cup and handle denial. It's not really a handle, though. It wasn't very curved. That was my big fear on this earnings. If the market actually liked this earnings a lot, this could have gotten so brutal for the shorts. But I was like, hey, I might get blown up on that position. But I just feel like I'm going to win when this thing gets cut in half. This is still not what I'm looking for in this stock, by the way, guys. So on those short positions, I'm literally looking for a headline to hit and this thing loses $100 overnight. That's what I'm hunting for. This little sell-off isn't really, I'm still in many ways, I'm looking at that it's not really what I want. I want this thing to literally get body slammed, someone go to jail, something like that. I've never in my lifetime, I've read about stocks that have very obvious cooking of the books and fraudulent behavior, but nothing's ever called out to me in the moment. SMCI does not. Everyone keeps saying SMCI is similar to Carvana. I don't think they are. I just think that the SMCI is CEO is a little bit of a doofus. Because They aren't, the directors and the boards aren't like acting the same, are displaying the same behavior as Carvana. Like SEC did a probe on Carvana, and the whole Carvana board, CEO, director, everyone started dumping shares like crazy. Like the fact that's even legal is ludicrous, right? They're collecting the bag and they're dumping on institutional investors and dumping on retail. The fact that that's even allowed after the SEC probes you is insane. Corruption, even. I'd push it to that. Shouldn't be illegal for them to do that. But stuff like that, behavior like that, like that's guilty behavior. That's I done something terribly wrong. If I saw Elon do that, I would immediately, like on the 6 times the SEC has probed him, if he even once started dumping stock afterwards, I would sell my whole Tesla position. The fact anyone owns Carvana like it's going to go somewhere is bewildering to me. So I'm surprised that it's even hold this evaluation. Okay, anyways, I'm ranting too long on this dumb stock, on this one play. That's too much on one name. I don't know. There's a lot of other things that we could talk about. I mean, just the weakness in the market, the breakout on TLT looks interesting. In my opinion, actually looks really weak, and yields like I don't want to set. I honestly do not want to set up TLT, even though this is like a classic, like parallel, long, very, I mean, this is a trend since September, literally, right? This big parallel channel, right? And it's giving a breakout signal, but we get false signals on TLT, right? Especially, given this market environment. But I don't really want to go long on TLT until I see the same exact trend give confirmation on the 10-year. And I know TLT is longer term treasuries than the 10-year, but they still have, the longer term bonds will have bigger reactions to the shorter term rates, right? To the interest rate changes. So I watched like the shorter term, I wouldn't say this is short term, but shorter term rates. And then I play the reaction on the longer bonds because I get a bigger reaction, right? But until this trend breaks, until this doesn't look like a classic like back test and support holds and it's getting ready to make a huge move to the upside, especially, was it the Michigan numbers? The Michigan numbers are saying that the sentiment numbers are all saying inflation's about to spike. Not a good sign. So I'm keeping an eye here, and I'm not really liking TLT until I see that calm down. The other thing that really stands out to me is on market crashes. If this was the beginning of a market crash because of a virus outbreak that was going to destroy the world, and this is why so late in the day I finally mentioned something about it, because I thought, fake news first time I read it. But then I noticed that all the pharmaceutical stocks were kind of rallying with it. Two things, right? Bitcoin still in a bullish trend, didn't really react. And then gold. Gold is moving. No exaggeration. This is not an exaggeration. Gold is moving like it's in a bubble. And not like the end of a bubble, like the beginning of a bubble. Gold is moving like Bitcoin moves when it's about to go nuts. Right? Some of you might remember the kind of content I was putting out when Bitcoin was like 23,000, right? I put a collage together, back in, I guess that would have been like 2023. I put a big video collage together and I made fun of all the YouTubers because they all sold the bottom. They all made videos on YouTube and they're like, I just sold all my, and I put a collage together and I made fun of them. Right. And then when we start getting these parabolic moves, like when we get this huge sell off from Bitcoin and then boom, that type of like plunge and then boom, right back out of the hole. Plunge, boom, right back out of the hole. Those moves are the beginning of the bubble where any opportunity to buy, people buy immediately. Boom. That's like such a aggressive price action. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this. Look what we got. Or this week, I was literally thinking about cutting some of my gold swings on my calls on this sell-off, right? And then boom, one day buys it right back up. Tries to sell off again. Boom, new high in the pre-market. Even gaps down to the close. Boom, right back up. Like, this isn't toppy price action at all. This looks like, yeah, boomer money. Boomer money to the max. I'll tell you right now, if those checks go out, if they do those, do we still got here? Oh my God. If this happens with the market already where it's at, you know, if we get these $5,000 checks going out, I don't think it'll be that much. First of all, that's just like Elon, again, being a little too optimistic, his favorite thing to do. I don't think it'll be that high, but if it does happen, it'll be more of this wealth transfer BS that we've been experiencing, right? A check written to every person in the country makes the rich richer. That's all it does, right? Because the people who need the money have to spend the money, right? And then the people who don't need the money are who receives the money that's spent, right? So all it is a massive wealth transfers. It's the reverse of taxes, right? So people will get all happy because the government did that, but literally, like, it's kind of funny that Elon's saying this. I don't think Elon's saying this Elon's shown very little indication that he actually understands economics, but him saying that's kind of funny because what it's going to do is going to make him rich, right? The richest people, top 1%, are the ones who make all the money when this shit happens, right? That's all COVID did, right? It exaggerated the wealth disparities, okay? And when, you know, lots of economists will say all kinds of things to act really smart, right? They'll say lots of fancy words, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I do too. I like to feel smart too sometimes. But really, the reality of the situation is that gold is a bet that the rich get richer. Boomer money, right? You know? Right. Well, I've cited the data before in the short videos, right? The average 40-year-old right now is poorer than a 40-year-old was 40 years ago. And the average 70-year-old right now is far richer than the average 70-year-old 40 years ago, right? The old are getting all the money and it's not being passed down through the system. And COVID accelerated that massively. And if they do these checks, it'll accelerate it even more massively, right? So that's gold will go absolutely bubble territory. We're talking 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, right? Like, it could just be the start. And, you know, when you look at a weekly chart, I don't think I'm going to be able to see it here, but whoops. I topped God weekly chart. I'm like, what's with all these Bible links? What? I mean, this chart's kind of awful, but it might be too awful, honestly. Oh, it's not even far back enough. That's not all. Let's see if we can find a better one. What's this go back to? Only for the past month? Oh, I forgot. I don't have Bloomberg anymore. I'm about to give up on this if Yahoo doesn't have what I'm looking for. It should, though. No, it still doesn't go all the way back. What you have here, though, it's kind of hard to see on this chart, though, is you do have this cup and handle right here. That's playing out. And then there's even a better structure on a longer time frame, but no one wants to show me before 2000. But if we could see, because what we want to see is, I think I posted in the Discord or something. What we want to see is all the way back into the 80s, a similar setup where I believe in the late 70s, you had a parabolic run like this one. And it ended up being just the start. There was like a small, like a little retracement to the downside. And then it took another parabolic run where it literally doubled itself over. So I'm looking for that. But it's important to know that it doesn't even have to do that short retracement. It could literally just double itself again. So this can go like straight to 6,000 over the course of the next year. And the sturdiness of it, you know, like even if we look at like COVID, where's COVID? Where's COVID crash, right? You know, COVID happens, gold gets hit, right? You know, when the market's in a sell all, gold gets hit too. Has fastest recoveries because people see it as safety. But in a sell all event, it's sell all, includes gold. Oh, images. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Look at that. Then now we can see at the late 70s right here. So we are, you know, let me draw. Oh, the cow. Too thick, my boy. That's what she said. Anyways, we are like right here. Massive parabolic run, right? And we could do this, right? This is exponential. This is absolutely parabolic bubble. You see that? Is that still too thick? You guys see what I'm talking about? Like, that's what it looks like to me right now. Don't you expand this? I'll expand this. I'm going to make this smaller. I'm going to circle this line right here. You are here. Very carefully. All right. Wasn't that more based on oil in Iran? Yeah, but think about, so we don't have, you know, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And think about what's going on right now. China's buying gold hand over fist. Russia's buying gold hand over fist. Everyone's trying to get away from the dollar. We have a new Cold War going on. We also have a plethora of geopolitical issues that could cause issues. You know, any of these, you know, peace treaties that Trump's trying to do right now could go poorly, right? You know, there could also be massive international blowback from Trump, just like blaming the whole war on Zelensky. You know, feel however you want to feel about it. You know, I'm not going to say you're right or wrong. I don't really know or care, but I do know that Europe might have some backlash and might be a further driver for getting away from the currency. Like, there's a bunch of, in the fourth tourney, you know, stuff's going to get really weird over the next year. Big things are going to happen, especially if I start writing out checks. So yeah, there was big geopolitical factors, but there's similar geopolitical factors now that could send gold parabolic. I don't really have to know exactly what they are. I just have to know that the right stuff's in the pot, you know, for the spell to work. I don't know why I went for like a witchcraft joke, illusion, but I think it works. Analogy. All the ingredients are in the pot, and I'm looking for the market to say the magic words. Yeah. Let me post this actually with my markups. It's a good Twitter post. Thank you for sharing that too. I couldn't find it. That was very clutch. Yeah, I mean, what we've gone for like about 45 minutes. I think we've covered a good amount of topics. Got to leave some stuff for an actual well-rounded YouTube video. I will put these up on YouTube. We're changing a lot of things in the Discord. Could it be trying out some different organization of the channels and the content? Just know there won't be any lack of content. I might even change some processes for how we keep track of information. It's a good time to do it anyways. The market has, I think with a move like today, just clearing out all hands like this could create an easier trading environment. So like next week could get really easy. I thought we already kind of had indications of that coming to this week. This week was an improvement over, it's steadily improving, steadily getting easier. I think next week could get even more easy, especially if we get into a bear market. I got my fingers crossed that, a continuation would be a really simple play. Right at this key level, you break below this key level, maybe we get an actual catalyst over the weekend. Like this is gonna be really easy to trade, just hunt out the key levels, right? So or if you get a bounce off of this, as soon as you get back over the trend line, okay, this is a fake out. Now we rally back up to the highs, right? So I'll be really, really, really excited about next week and what kind of opportunities it presents. And the difficult times in the market has actually created opportunities for me to do some of my own coaching, learning some entrepreneurship, and I've got tons. Like I've got this almost done on what we're looking for, big write up. So, and it's multiple documents, but I'm going to combine them all when I'm done. And I've pulled out examples from the playbook in the Discord, throw them in there. The psychological thing has its own PDF and everything, and I plan to just slowly drop them to the public. And I have AI set up as well. So like I'll say in the video, like comment down below to get a link to our free education materials, and they'll comment and then the AI will automatically DM them. So I'm super excited to try that out. Bunch of other stuff. Really cool. So I've got all that infrastructure now set up for new touch points, new marketing tools to just get people in here. I don't even necessarily need to pay. I just want to grow my reach, grow my voice, grow my influence, and that will create opportunities on its own. Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. We can talk about VKTX before we end class. So VKTX got a nice pump today. Rumor on Wall Street right now is that Pfizer is looking for a buyout potential, which is huge because Pfizer has Pfizer, obviously, just looking at the stock price, right? They are desperate for something. They got the huge pump from COVID, and now the board pretty much is looking on the CEO like, yo, you made an absolute killing off of vaccines. What did you spend that money on? Where's our next big thing? Where's, how are you going to keep delivering dividends? Like how are we going to keep delivering on returns here? Like we got to do something. You made all that money. Where's the reinvestment back into the company rather just into dividends, right? So this is really one of my reasons for getting VKTX, because it is a very competitive weight loss drug. And actually the new pill form has shown to have some of the least side effects. Okay. So I didn't really want to trade this before we got over 39. I really wanted to clear over this bearish EMA on the daily, but we are getting there for the TTM. TTM kind of faking out at this point isn't impossible, but it would be unusual, especially with the RSI over 50. So I was looking at this and I was like, okay, it's okay to get in just off the technicals alone, especially since, the weekly's starting to roll over a little bit. We get the RSI SMA cross here. That should be enough to push it over the 39, which is when I get the confirmation that a new trend could be developing. But then we also got the great move today. And, you know, again, we talked about this before, right? You clear out these ATR levels, average true range. This is the typical range that a stock usually trades in. Usually they don't cross out of them, right? So I look at this today and I'm like, wow, look at all the room that we freed up on this stock as it blows through all the key levels, as it picks up the massive relative volume. So this could be development of a new trend. And then additionally, we finally get the rumors that I've actually been hunting for these for a while now, that someone wants to buy this company that has one of the best weight loss drugs on the market, isn't really that expensive, at $3 billion. Holy cow. We're talking about what are the estimates? I think the estimates are like 600 billion for weight loss. You know, Eli Lilly, you know, does no one wants a piece of that for $3 billion? Really? $4 billion? We'll say buyout probably $6 billion. Even that's like stupid cheap. 10 billion, 15, 20 billion, all stupid cheap, right? When you look at the total market cap, even if you only grab 15% of the market share, massive returns, right? 2x, 3x, 5x. The economics are too good. And their drug is one of the best, has limited the least side effects. So that's what I'm looking for. I've been wanting that buyout. Like, that's why we've held a stock position that has literally eaten my performance. I mean, it hasn't been a big position, so it hasn't really been that bad. So I've been okay with it. But I wanted another move like this. All right. If these options hit, it could do one of these, you know? So we bought some time. We bought a month because the technical setup was there and because the rumors were there. We got a nice convergence, confluence, whatever you want to call it, factors. So I went ahead and took the swing. It's still harder to size stuff like that. That's why I made the comment. It's really, you had to have the convictions, right? On something volatile like this, it could do whiplash move next week. All right. And then it could, this is, a lot of people are not used. Like on my come up, it's, I think is a word. I only traded pharmaceutical stocks and biotech. That was it. When I was in college and I was learning to trade and all this, like, that was all I touched. So, like, I'm used to this volatility. I know how these move, but if you're not used to that, it's a little bit harder to size into these because you have to understand that these options can go down like 40% in a day and then come back like 600% the next day. So, but I like this. I think it can get a few more pop days, especially news like that. Biotech's sneaky, right? Pharmaceuticals are sneaky. You know, it's not major headlines, right? So like those rumors got started today, but usually the normies who are like, "Ooh, weight loss, that's a big market, right? That's big money, right?" Like, they don't find out about it until like 2 weeks later because it doesn't make major headlines. So I like stuff like this. I like the tail headwinds that this can provide, the tailwinds that this can provide, because of that. There's a good amount of lag. You know, institutional investors can be kind of late to stuff like this too, because a lot of them, there's out of the 15 hedge fund managers I know, 2 of them actually pay attention to biotech, right? But 12 of them hold Eli Lilly, which is really dangerous because they don't really know what's going on. They just hear Ozempic and they start to drool a little bit on themselves. You know, a little less since they lost some weight, but that's a good joke. That's a good time to call it. I hope you all had, appreciate you all. Thanks for coming to class. Y'all have a great weekend. I got a busy weekend ahead of me. It's going to be fun. God bless, guys. Have a good one.